Now, a question I get all the time is, how are some drummers able to succeed so much and reach their full potential behind the drum kit, while others are feeling really stuck, embarrassed of their playing, and having a hard time even finding time to practice? Well, I actually created an entire workshop based around these questions where I share my techniques and frameworks that have helped me and so many other drummers reach their full potential behind the drum kit. The workshop is called Become a Rock Drummer, and it's completely free. So if this is a workshop that you are interested in joining in, again, totally for free, you can click right up here or click on the link in the description below and join me in this workshop so you too can also reach your full potential behind the kit. Hello, my beautiful friends. Gabe Elguera here from drumbeatsonline.com, and today we're going to learn 3 creative beginner drum beats that hit really, really hard. So let's jump into it. All right, so we've got a pretty lengthy title today, and there's a lot of key things that we need to hit with these drum beats that I'm about to teach you. 1, they have to be accessible for beginners, so they can't be too hard, but 2, they have to be creative. So this is going to be something that most likely you're not used to playing or possibly not comfortable playing, which means you're gonna have to work on it a little bit. And thirdly, these beats have to hit hard. Well, what the heck does it mean for the beat to hit hard? Well, the way I'm gonna describe it is these beats are gonna be explosive, they're going to be maybe a little bit louder, and we're going to rock out to them like they properly should be rocked out to. Yeah, what we are gonna be doing here is playing 1/8 notes on the open hi-hat with your dominant hand. For me, that's my right hand. Then we are going to add in a snare drum on beat 2, then both toms on beat 3, and then another snare drum on the and of beat 3. And when you come back down on that snare drum on the and of beat 3, I want you to hit a crash cymbal with it to really accent that note. Now, this snare and tom pattern really adds a lot of creativity to this beat, and it helps it hit a little bit harder. So we are checking the boxes there. Then on the kick drum, what we are gonna be doing is playing on beat 1, the and of beat 1, and on the E of beat 3. So now we have got this completed first measure of the beat, which I think sounds really powerful and pretty darn cool. So let's hear what this first measure of the beat sounds like all together. Check it out. Now, moving on to the second measure, we are continuing playing 1/8 notes on the open hi-hat. But our snare drum is doing something a little bit different. We are gonna be playing the snare drum on beats 1, 2, 3, the E of beat 3, and beat 4. So again, it's another measure loaded with snare drum notes. And when I hit that 3E, I do a right left on the snare and then continue with the beat. Then there's just 2 kick drum notes, which is going to be on the and of beat 1 and the of beat 3. So now we've got the full 2 measures of this beat coming together. And again, before we go in and hear what this all sounds like at a few different tempos, I just want to remind you that you are totally gonna get this with a little bit of practice. Like I said, these are creative beats that are meant to push you and help you get better. So they're not gonna come to you right away, most likely, and that is totally okay. Make sure to just practice it really slow, and eventually you're totally gonna get this, and it's gonna sound awesome. So now let's hear what this full beat sounds like at a few different tempos. Check it out. let's move on to beat number 2. Here, this beat altogether is actually going to be 2 measures long. And primarily what our hands are gonna be doing is alternating right, left on our closed hi-hat, playing 16th notes. So the whole time just going 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now, because this beat is 2 measures long, let's just break it up. Let's focus on the first measure first. So like I said, we're playing those 16th notes on the hi-hat. Then what we are gonna do is add in the snare drum. So we are gonna come down with a right, left on the snare drum on beats 3 in the E of beat 3. And then right after that, you bring your dominant hand and hit the rack tom on beat 4, and then the floor tom on the and of beat 4. So the most part, your hands are just strictly on the hi-hat with a subtle move to the snare, and then right after that, your dominant hand moves down the toms, which makes this beat sound really cool. Now, thankfully, the kick drum pattern on this is nice and simple. We're just playing on beats 1 and the and of beat 1 to bring it all together. So now we are starting to get a really great sounding beat, but remember, this is just the first measure of it. So let's just hear what this first measure sounds like real quick, and then we will learn the second measure. Check it out. All right, so the good news is the second measure is very similar to the first. We've still got those 16th notes on the hi-hat. And then actually the kick drum is still on beats 1 and the and of 1, which stays the exact same. But now the snare pattern is going to move on beat 3, the of beat 3, and on beat 4. So your dominant hand's gonna come down on beat 3, then on the of beat 3, it's actually gonna be your weak hand. So for me, my left hand's gonna hit the snare, and then your dominant hand is going to hit right on beat 4, which might be a little bit uncomfortable, but it sounds really cool. So now let's take those 2 measures and mush them together and play this full beat at a few different tempos. Check it out. Okay, so you might be thinking, Gabe, this is a cool beat, but does it really hit hard? Well, it can if you want it to. All you have to do to make this beat hit hard is play a little bit louder and open up that hi-hat and make it sound like this. All right, now it is time to move on to beat 3. So what we are gonna start off doing is by hitting 8th notes on our craft cymbal. So just on beats 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Next up, we are gonna throw in the snare drum, and this is a snare heavy beat. We are gonna play the snare drum on beats 1, the of beat 1, the of beat 2, the E and the and of beat 3, and then beat 4. And that's counted using 16th notes. So the way that we would count that is 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now, I know I'm throwing a lot on your plate here, but we are going to add in one variation with the hand that was hitting the crash cymbal. On the and of beat 2, we are going to bring it down and hit the floor tom. And then on beat 3, we are going to hit an open hi-hat. And then the rest of the time, we're just going to stay on this crash cymbal. So as we start to add in the hands, the full beat starts to come together a little bit more. But now we have to add in the kick drum. So on the kick drum, we are going to add in one note on the E of beat 1, the E of beat 2, the of beat 3, and the E and the of beat 4. Now, what in the world am I talking about? This sounds like absolute gibberish. But this is just gonna fill in the gaps of this beat really nicely and bring it all together. Now that the full beat is coming together, before we hear it at a few different tempos, I just wanna recognize that I'm fully aware that as a beginner drum beat, this is going to stretch you. This is hitting notes that you're most likely not used to hitting, plus it is just a jam-packed beat. There's a lot of notes in there. But the goal here is to stretch your overall creativity and help you build upon some of the basics that you maybe already know. So with that said, let's hear this beat at a few different tempos. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching this lesson. I genuinely hope this helped you out. Let me know which beat was your favorite in the comment section below. And as you are working on this, feel free to tag me on Instagram. I would love to see your progress behind the kit. Thank you again, stay true, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye.